three. Roll call. Here,
Yeah.
okay, Debbie,
Present.
Kelly,
Here.
David.
Here.
Mark. Here. Lisa.
Here.
And the chair, obviously, is here. We have full board and forum. Okay, can we all please rise for the pledge for the allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know me too.
Now, can we please review the mission statement of Medina County Board of Developmental Disabilities? The mission of the Medina County Board of Developmental Disabilities is to promote and empower individuals with developmental disabilities to live, learn, work, and socialize as citizens of the community. Thank you. The agenda had been sent out earlier. Are there any questions or concerns regarding the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
David, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor of accepting the agenda, say aye. Those opposed? Okay, next will be the approval of minutes. First will be the minutes of the Ethics Committee of May 12th, 2025. Are there any comments, questions, concerns regarding those minutes?
No.
Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, Debbie, do I have a second?
Second.
Martin, okay. All in favor with approval of the minutes from the Ethics Committee meeting of May 12th, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. So moved. Next, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of May 12th, 2025. Do I have any comments, questions, concerns regarding those minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
David? Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Kelly, thank you. Okay, for approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting, May 12th, 2025, all in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. So moved. Finally, approval of the minutes from the special board meeting of June 9th, 2025. Do I have any comments, questions, or concern regarding those? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, Lisa, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mark, thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes from the special board meeting of June 9th, 2025, signify the approval with aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
I'll abstain because I wasn't there.
Okay, two
I'll abstain.
abstentions. All right,
I wasn't there either, so I should probably.
okay. So three abstentions, Debbie, Kelly, and Mark. All right, very good. Next on the agenda recognitions.
Yes, we have a retirement proclamation that I will read for you. Beth is not here. Okay. This is a proclamation of retirement and service. Beth R. Whitman. Whereas the Medina County Board of Developmental Disabilities knows our staff are the foundation of our system and are critical to our daily mission of helping people with disabilities lead independent, safe, and healthy lives. And we recognize the powerful impact and vital role staff have on the long-term successes of individuals with developmental disabilities and their families. Whereas Beth Whitman, having begun her employment at the MCBDD on October 22nd, 2008, as an instructor assistant substitute, and then as an instructor assistant, has proven through her years of service to be a compassionate and caring public servant at all times committed to the Medina County Board of DD, its mission in our community. Whereas during her time spent at Windfall School, Beth has positively influenced the lives of hundreds of children and their families. And she is known as one of the kindest people who always gives 100% to those around her. She has been a valued member of the Windfall School staff and has been highly committed to the success of all the students she has worked with throughout her years of service, especially shown through her love for working with preschoolers where her calm demeanor could soothe the emotions of a student in a matter of minutes. Beth's dedication to Windfall School has been seen in her flexibility and willingness to work in any classroom from preschool to high school ages and pitching in for any school event to make the school a better place, not only for her students, but for her coworkers as well. We are honored to recognize your efforts and appreciate all you have done with and for people with developmental disabilities in Medina County. Therefore, the Medina County Board of Developmental Disabilities formally expresses its sincere gratitude, appreciation for your contributions, and congratulates you on the occasion of your retirement. We wish you all the best and continued future success.
Beth here.
Beth is not here. Nope. She will be missed. She will be missed. Okay,
Next on the agenda, advocacy presentation.
yes. I have John Krebs. He's got a crew with him that he will introduce to you. They're going to give a presentation on our advocacy program.
Exactly. If you didn't have the opportunity to meet Beth, she is an incredible. But welcome. Hope everybody's doing well. I am John Krebs. I'm the manager of the community sports department, so I work with Ed Dryer. This is Molly. She is the community resource coordinator, specializing in the advocacy program. You guys might remember Michelle Fortney, who did an exceptional job. Molly didn't miss a beat. She came in, she made the program her own, has built some programs that weren't there, and done a really nice job. And some of you guys might remember Logan. Some of you guys, if you haven't, you will. Logan has been a part of the Advocates for 10 years. 10 years, and really a lead in that category for us and around the state for that matter. So it's good. All right, we'll get started. Today, what we're going to learn is a couple things that we've been working on and things that we're looking in the future, and how we're going to build these programs to really mass help people and get the word out there. I think it's becoming more and more evident that we provide this program, but in other words, providers are finally coming to us though and seeing the benefit along with the individuals themselves. So, all right. The Advocacy Information Night. So this was held back in February 4th. We had 48 people come, and looking at your sign. We had 48 people come and look at 6 different tables were set up. These 6 different advocacy programs, gave a little presentation, and then they went back where families or individuals could ask individualized questions. So those are the programs. Some of them are housed in here or by our staff helping providers. Other ones are provided by other staff or other groups outside.
Our monthly general advocacy meetings, they're held the 4th Tuesday of the month, and I do them either in person fully, if it's like an activity like we painted in April, which you can see in the display case in our main hallway, or hybrid, like in, we just had in May, we had the park district come and talk to us. So I had some virtually on the computer, and then some met in person at a local park, and they talked about accessible features that the parks offer, so we can try and get our guys out in nature when it's not raining or sweltering. September, we have coming up sign language at Suprema with some of the seniors, so we're gonna have some senior members join us, and then some of our advocates that'll also be held virtually. I usually like to do things going around town that they may want to partake in, classes at local libraries that may interest them. I also do genuine representation articles or something that may adversely affect them, like when Disney changed the disability access pass. I have a lot of Disney fans that attend my meeting. Then I also like to include a small lesson, like we've done friendship and boundaries, social media safety and etiquette. And tomorrow in our meeting, we're actually going over grief and how to deal with it. We have 59 recipients on the email list of my self-advocacy little tab. That include day programs and independent individuals that receive it and are welcome to join us. Then our People Together program is offered to all the schools in the county in partnership with SHC. They contract a area teacher who goes into the schools that want to participate in it. It's usually third grade, but we do go fourth and fifth, depending on the class. She teaches about different disabilities Monday through Thursday, and then I come in on Friday with my team of advocates, including Logan and Medina, and I ask them some questions just to showcase similarities between everyone, just because, you know, someone may have to do something a little differently. They still like going out for Mexican, just like, you know, the kids do, or going to the movies. So we highlight anti-bullying, kindness, and the similarities between them. We've added another advocate at the end of this last school year that we just finished, and then we have 2 in the process for the upcoming school year. And then in 2024-25, so January 24 to May 24, we had 7 schools scheduled, 388 students. September 24 to May 25, we had 13 schools scheduled, 12 we presented to, 1 school canceled, and that was to 810 students overall. And then coming up for this 25-26 school year, starting in October, we have 15 schools set as of now, from October to May. And that's 4 new schools also that haven't participated in the program before. Okay, if you want to say something about People Together?
I would love to do that.
Yep, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I have enjoyed working in People Together for the last 10+ years now. It's really been a fun joy for me to speak to these elementary school students about what we enjoy and do in our life. Going to these different elementary schools across the county and meeting all these students, we show them that although we do have disabilities, we are no matter different from them like us. One of the best questions that a student has ever asked me was, I chuckled at this one so hard once. This was the most funniest question I've ever gotten asked. This was like, I think like maybe 8 or 9 years ago, I think, when I was first starting up in this program. They asked me and the other advocates, what is your favorite toe on your foot? I think the obvious best answer for me to answer that is my big toe, because we need our big toes to walk and balance out our feet sometimes. And I'm looking forward to going to the new elementary school this coming school year with you, Molly, and all the other advocates too, like you, Adina. I've been with you for this thing for so many years now. You're doing great too in this program as well.
And when I started like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing great. Ever since I started up too. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was fortunate to go to a couple of these meetings, and really, I wasn't prepped for the questions. Molly tried to. You go, John, you're not gonna know what's gonna come up. But sure enough, it's like, what's your favorite color? I've never did that one. No one. That's so that's good.
One of our individuals was born without eyes, and a lot of the students, can you cry? Do you still produce tears, or like, do you see when you dream? Things like that. So some of them get really in depth and throw us off guard. So we need a minute to figure out what we're going to say. But I really wouldn't have been able to do People Together without Adina and Logan, and they've really ushered me in and been like, oh, you gotta say this now. You know, so they've helped guide me. Our Leadership Academy is next, and I run our Leadership Academy with Nicole Richter, who's our training compliance specialist. It runs for 6 months. It's a training opportunity for people with developmental differences to learn and develop important leadership and advocacy skills to help become more involved in leadership roles in their community. It runs April to September. We have 4 individuals that we accept through our application process. And then throughout those 6 months, we have 2-hour sessions held here once a month. We work on assessing their skills, strengths, and challenges, which helps kind of lead them towards what they feel their leadership goals should be. And then we help them kind of map a course on how to get there. Once they graduate at the September board meeting, we follow up with them kind of mid-January, see how they're doing. Do they need any help making any connections with their goal? Or the path they want to go down, and then the end of March, beginning of April, we kind of touch base again. It is an ever-evolving program, so we do offer a survey at the end to get their feedback, so we can really make this program what it needs to be for those we serve, what they're looking for. Looking ahead, we're also looking at maybe offering it in the evening, because we're kind of missing out on some of those community employment people who are working during the day that we really would like to get involved in. Notable achievements, we have Medina reached her goal of becoming a board member, which is amazing. And we have one from our second class that stated she gained confidence in going out of her comfort zone and doing more experiences with public speaking. And we also had another from that class that credited Leadership Academy with empowering them and speaking up for themselves, in which they then created a PowerPoint to present at their ISP meeting on what they wanted and needed. From our OACB presentation, Nicole and I have also spoke to Wood County and most recently Lucas County on how they can start their own leadership academies. And we are presenting on Leadership Academy July 25th to the Ohio County Board Self-Advocacy Collaborative online. And Logan also did our first class of Leadership Academy.
Back in 2020.
Yeah, with Michelle and Nicole.
Yeah, that was very fun. I learned a lot of things there. Hey again, everyone. The Leadership Academy helped me understand and recognize the business responsibilities that we all go through in our daily life. Also, for me personally, I use the communication and interview skills for my new employment and setting my future goals. It was a very informative program, which has helped me develop in my life and work in the community. One of my goals that I'm about to achieve is getting my driver's license. Hopefully by tomorrow. I completed only half of the test. I passed the road test with I passed on June 13th, a couple weeks ago. I barely passed with only 25 out of 26 points with only 1 point left. So tomorrow I get to do my maneuverability. I've been practicing this for the majority of the last week and a half. And I hope to gain my independence by driving here as soon as possible. Thank you.
Well, you'll have to let us know when you get your license. We all want to know.
I will hope my mom and my parents are gonna be the first ones to know.
Okay.
In fact, Logan's gonna leave shortly after, so he said he's gonna practice Logan. That's good. Very important. Thank you.
Our advocacy curriculum is, it was 16 weeks before. I've taken it down to 4 weeks. And I offer this to the Career Center and area day programs. So I go in and I observe the day program or the classroom. I talk with them, I talk with the teacher. What do they need most of all? And I have kind of a base offering of what I have. But if they say, well, we really need to focus on this area, I create that area of interest and customize the curriculum to meet their needs and then go in and execute it to them.
You've seen a big uptick. That 16-week was just a long time from every week and a big commitment from both areas. The 4-week, which is compiled, seems to be working a lot better for not only us, but the teachers and the students. So it's worked out well. Okay, the Improvineers, I think most of us have heard about it and have maybe seen Rob Snow and his group. We did try offering it here with the county board supporting it. They were requiring 6 individuals to be a part of it. The first year, we got 8. Great. And then we struggled with getting the additional people during that time. I don't know if it was due to the summertime. So we've been working with Rob and Liz, and trying to come up with marketing and how can we promote this a little bit more? Because it's definitely worthwhile.
Our speaking engagements, so we utilize our wonderful advocates for speaking engagements. We have a kindness presentation that we offer to local schools, really, to kind of cut down on the bullying. So, do that. And then we have, we recently just spoke to the Medina Junior Fair Board because they were getting ready for their, Fair Friends Day. So I had two advocates come out to their meeting on a Sunday evening with myself, and we offered tips on interacting with people with disabilities, advised on accessible games that they could offer. And then they asked what kind of obstacles that they faced while coming to the fair to try and make it, break down those barriers and make it even more accessible than it already is, which one of the things that was highly brought up was the hoses and wires that are run across the paths, that getting a wheelchair over those is difficult, and they really appreciated that information. So they're gonna be putting mats over them, or like I said, if you take them down so they don't roll with the chair. So that was nice.
And with that, going out there, they've also reached out to us and we've gone out and talked to the fair. So they know that we're a resource for them, which is always nice to know that they can call us. We come with some suggestions, and kind of leads towards future, hopefully, inclusion. Okay. Meet Social. This is a brand new program. It's a pilot program right now. We heard from the advocates and from the younger population, meaning 19 through 24, that they're not getting out there and meeting people their own age with the same likes. It's very difficult for them. So we started this program and we reached out and we did a meeting at Bueller's at first, and we had, I think, 8 or 9 people, and half boys, half females, half males. And then we tried to set up a future. We had a survey that basically said, what do you like to do, from movies to animals to eating out, things of that nature. I will say the females hit it off very well. Males, we're still working on. We tried, I haven't put my finger on why yet, but we tried. We had one meeting with the males and I had one guy show up. And we do it after hours. We went to the substation in Wadsworth, and we only had one individual, but we're still working. It's a work in progress. The females had another one just recently at
Dairy Queen in Medina, and we had 3 of the 5 that were able to attend, to actually exchange numbers right then. Their families were comfortable with it, so they could set up their own social interactions on their own. But then they also said, we still want another one for you to organize. So hopefully the other 2 that weren't able to attend could come and just help foster those friendship building connections.
And I guess I'm gonna add one thing to that. We encourage the families at first to become, so the comfort zone was there. And then in that, we also said, this is to increase their in people's independence. So therefore, if you do feel you need to be a part of it, if we could move you to like a different part, so the interaction is still between their peers. So, and the families have been amazing with that.
Is that part of the program to keep it boys and girls?
No, that was never the intent. What we learned with the population that I should say the pilot group, now we've reached out to additional males that I think might be a better fit. The likes were similar with the girls and the boys. It just worked out that way. It wasn't meant to be like separation that way. It was more of the girls wanted to go out to eat, the guys kind of wanted the movies, and what was the one? Video games. So it just kind of worked that way. So we have reached out to 2 more people that we think would be a good fit with either one, but we're trying to encourage the interaction between the males and females. So no, that was never the intent.
And location base wise too, it just kind of worked, like a lot of the females are based more Medina-ish area, and then the males are a lot in Wadsworth.
Okay.
John, that goes pretty much about 40, 45 foot males.
I got nothing. Okay, so some of the things we're working on, and these go in line with kind of the programs you've seen us present on, and that is the monthly meetings. Some of the areas we're reaching out to new providers, trying to get them on board to listen. We have Molly as well, and with Crystal going out to these providers. We offer other programs, but we're talking about self-advocacy right now. So with these providers, we're trying to show them that we are a resource in many ways. Advocacy just seems to be like a fun one, and we just gotta get them on. And as Molly pointed out, the community sites, we're going to different areas. We're not just going to the provider site. We want the interaction. We want the inclusion. So that seems to be working really good. Next month, going to Suprema.
In September.
So- Okay.
Tomorrow is virtual, and then I'm hoping to go to Spokes in July.
The advocacy curriculum is that 4-week program we were talking about. So we've talked, we hope to be over in Windfall Schools. We briefly talked about it last year towards the end of it. Bowman House, which is a Medina school, they've shown interest, and then also picking up new providers. Advocates, like Mr. Logan, Medina. We're looking to increase the number, our pool. People are working, people have other responsibilities, and it's really important when we go to these schools to have more than one person or two people. Adina, I'm sure you've seen it. 2 people, it gets a little more difficult. If you have 4 participants, a little bit easier and a little bit more well-versed.
Yeah.
Additional board supported people. One of the areas we're looking at is, we're talking about going to providers with these self-advocacy. How do we get independent people, or maybe people out in the workforce that don't have a provider? How do we get them and start teaching some self-advocacy for those people as well? We support. We're looking to train new providers. I mean, when we go out there, this curriculum is based on, we teach one class a day for 4 weeks, but we encourage the other days, there's classes going on presented by the providers. So it's not just us always going out there. The Meet Social, we talked about, trying to really increase the participation, and even though this is still just the pilot program, just seeing how this can help, we see it, encouraging people to see it as far as the individuals and their parents or caregivers. Community involvement for more businesses, local options, senior centers. We've already connected with Suprema very well, but there's other senior centers out there we can definitely batch up with. Supportive technology. Advocacy, as much as it's nice to do that face-to-face, sometimes it's not an option. So it's just, I think we can reach a bigger range of people by putting it with supportive technology, whether it's virtual and of that nature. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. Do you have any questions or comments?
Can you explain what the significance is for the senior centers?
You know what, and there's really, they just have been our partnerships with Suprema, and it dates back to when we were doing, I don't know how, some of you guys may know, we did a cafe in there. And so we've always had the interaction and a great relationship with them. Other than that, I mean, some of the same, the technology, if we're gonna teach a class on, and I'm gonna say self-advocacy, but also technology, our supportive technology program also goes out to senior center. And there seems to be the need sometimes coincide with each other. So there's no, I mean, if you have a suggestion for somewhere else, we kind of are hitting the schools, the businesses. We have talked about going to businesses and talking to them about like kind of what we do and the benefits of hiring people in general. I mean,
Right.
the hiring market right now is very difficult.
No, I think that's great. I think, I wasn't sure if you were using the senior centers for the building itself to do your programs in those buildings, or if you're trying to reach seniors with
Yeah,
disabilities. Okay. Gotcha.
So for the Meet Socials, do you just stick around Medina County, or can you go outside?
It's a great question. We, for right now, this pilot program, we're trying to keep it more localized. I'm not saying it won't. One of the gentlemen who drives, he wanted to go up to Cleveland, and we said that wasn't an option at this juncture. But we're trying to keep it around Medina. I know the Akron Autism Society also does a program like this. They don't do it during the summertime. So that might be one of the things that we're looking at as far as why are we not getting the pool from the males? Is it because it's summertime? I mean, we, again, pilot program, we reached out, we've connected with the Akron Autism Society, see what they're doing, what's working. And the one comment they made was, we're not getting the participation during the summertime. So they run it from September to April.
And we also, in our initial survey that we sent out to the interested participants, we put like, what areas are you willing to travel to meet up in? And we put like Brunswick, Medina Township, like Lodi, Chippewa, like everything around. They marked what they would be
You wanna
willing
do
to.
like Strongville, cause I feel like over there.
We kind of stopped at like Valley City, Brunswick.
Still in Medina.
Because that's like where people were most centrally located, so.
John, what type of funding do you need for something like this?
The Meet Social, actually, we encourage, part of the thing, to bring your own money to buy whatever, if you want to pop, if we're going out to eat.
Yeah.
So we give them, when you went to Dairy Queen, I'm sure, you know, if you want to get something at Dairy Queen, but when I went to substation, I said, if you want to get a sub or something like that, please bring your own money, and they did, well, the one gentleman. But, so,
When you ask providers to work with you,
for the Meet Social,
yes,
it would only be the transportation, but even that, I mean, we haven't, at least I haven't had a provider. It was more, family members bringing their son or daughter to
okay.
the place. I mean, and Dave, we've only done it
Yeah.
twice.
I mean, as we try to draw providers in, they're more on the clock than
Right.
the parents are, although parents are always on the clock.
Mhm.
So I just wondered if that's gonna require funding or if that's,
I don't know, wait, maybe that'll come out at the end of the year. We'll see, like, we can increase participation by doing something. Right now, that wasn't the outlook we had.
well, because it's gonna involve transit, it could involve transit.
Right now, that's one thing, and then we'll look at the end of the year also. Transit runs only till, 6 o'clock, and it's hard enough to find it now. So that is gonna be one of the hurdles that we're gonna have to figure out, how do we do this? The idea was to get people to call themselves. We're gonna back ourselves out after people get comfortable. We're hoping we back out and then they have a friend, is what the goal is. It's not for us always to be at the place wherever they're meeting, the park.
Yeah, we just want to kind of help establish those initial friendship relationships and make that connection. And then once they're comfortable, they can move forward on their own. But we also did put like, when are you looking to want to do this? And they all put like evenings and weekends is when they're looking for their socialization or their gathering time. That was in our survey. So that's why they're like 5:30. Ours was 5:30 on Tuesday.
Do you see any crossover between this population that you've been working with and some of what Integrated Solutions is doing with some of their outings and folks?
And not with the group, the 6 individuals, we haven't. Lisa has talked to Ed Dreyer, who's the director of this, about a couple different things. And we've talked about maybe asking for her one daughter to come back into so yes, we are in contact.
Yeah,
Or
I just
have
wanted, and one of the more challenging, groups is our nonverbal group, and they are very social. But it's a more challenging group to work with. A lot of times the parents can't leave, but they are happy when they get together for the most part. So I know that's probably somewhere on your radar screen, but it's not an easy one to solve for.
No, but it's always good to think
Yeah.
that far out, or not even that far out, but that's an option,
Yeah.
by all means.
Yeah, I mean, we both have nonverbal, children, and they love to go out and do things, but it's a little more challenging.
Yeah, they're not gonna sit around and chit chat, obviously. So it has to be more of an activity based.
Right.
outing.
And we had people who wanted to go for hikes in the park,
Yeah.
or at least that was an option. But-
And some of the ones that were having trouble building those social relationships and engagements, they were expressing that they didn't necessarily want to participate in a strictly ED type event, be like categorized, if you will. So they kind of just initiated this friendship connection. I mean, they can do their own thing then.
This is wonderful.
They didn't want to be a part of Special Olympics, unfortunately, or, but some of them do take part in Lisa's
classes also.
Yeah, I've been fortunate. We've been in a group for over 30 years. And it's parents and children, young adults. And when we go out to dinner, all the young adults sit with them by themselves and communicate and commiserate, and the parents. And word that we go is, we get as much from the parents as we do the children. So it's a good mix. I think you
use
stay
that.
with it, don't leave it for a while, but stay with it because you're still the silent linchpin that holds them together until they're really comfortable. Or you get a parent step forward.
We do use that group as an example, at least I do, to try to encourage the parents or caregivers or even the individuals to buy in. Because it has been a really long-standing.
I don't know how we've done it, but it just works.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have old business states we deducted.
Yeah, so, we're at crunch time. I believe that I shared with you, there was a proposal from Ohio Association of County Boards, with the whole tax, the property tax. This is a big push statewide, and something is going to happen with that. I think the language right now, and they're giving the budget commissions more oversight, more vague directives. They're looking at that 30%. If you have a carryover, that's 30%, more than 30% of your previous year's expenditures, then they're encouraging the budget commission to look to, roll back that levy for that year. We tried to put in some legislation, and we got some buy-in actually from Senator Romichuk about if you are a mandated Medicaid funder, meaning us, we're mandated. There's no, there's only so much you can cut before you start cutting into those waiver dollars. And it didn't get traction. Although I will say that, like I said, Senator Romichuk was very much supportive. Some of you have met him at some of our roundtables, and he gets it. I mean, that's his wheelhouse. He's really taken on a Medicaid piece. So I wish I had better news, but I'm not sure how it's all going to roll out. The talk is that if you roll back the property taxes, then you increase sales tax. That's not in the budget, so that would have to be an additional, each community would have to vote on that, put it in that, so.
But there's no answer to it. We want to chop it.
Right.
But the
But
funds
right
are
now-
being used. There's no
Right.
answer of where they're gonna come
Right.
from. So it seems a little foolish that you cut something without figuring out how you're gonna
Right.
cover some of it.
Well, I think-
Maybe now.
And I think the one positive, I guess, in all that is that they're putting that burden, power, decision-making, more of that on the budget commission. The budget commission, as we know, can still, I think some of you were there several years back where we had a hearing with the budget commission. They wanted to roll back our levy collections, and they did not. So they still have that power, but they're giving more power to the budget commission to do that. So it really becomes the budget commission's discretion. So that would be something important for us moving forward on how we will have to present to the budget commission, how we're going to present that and demonstrate our need. I mean, I think one of our big things again is that when someone is eligible for services, it's for life. Those costs are for life, and we are mandated to meet that federal match. So I think in that sense, as a county board, I think we have some really important responsibilities that are different than some other entities. So we'll certainly want to use that to our advantage.
Is there an appeal process
Um,
to the budget commission?
there's not, once they make their decision, no. I mean, they have the hearing, and that's our opportunity to appeal you know, they have to notify that they're going to have a hearing. It has to be a public hearing. They have to notify. So
Yeah.
that's our, and their notifications is their intent to roll the levy back. So I guess in all intents and purposes, that hearing is our appeals process. The one thing that I do know that is in there too is that it's year to year. So maybe that's another positive if they decide that, you know, this year that we're gonna roll you back. That doesn't stay. You know, in the current law, every year, in the current law, they roll it back and it stays until they decide not to. With this, they have to do it each year. So that's, I mean, that's, I guess when you're trying to find some positives, that's a positive. That we.
When do you
Really
think
had to
this
dig deep for
decision is
that.
gonna be made?
Sometimes you guys dig deep, dig.
Is the decision being made at the end of June?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we're
So
days
this
away.
week, the Senate, you know, how it went, the House did their budget proposal, went to the Senate countered with theirs. So now they're in that reconciliation. You know, again, Association County Boards have been calling and doing stuff, you know, myself and all the other superintendents have been making phone calls and, you know, pleading our case and reasons and that. And I want to say that they're going to be voting on this on Wednesday. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's Wednesday, but you know, it's this week.
So where's the nucleus of this?
The nucleus of this?
Yeah, is it the rural counties more than the? Who's driving this?
I know,
There's two reps, right?
yeah, I know that Thomas from Ashtabula County, he does Ashtabula and Mahoney, he is the driving force behind this. You know, here's the other piece is that this stuff has gotten pretty extreme. There's another bill out there that they're working on in tandem with this, is they're also talking about that inside millage. So this affects the counties, the inside millage, which are taxes that are property taxes that are not voted on. And there's, you know, I don't know all the details of it, but
Yeah.
there's restrictions and stuff around that. They are saying that they're gonna decrease inside millage, take the inside millage away. So I do know that our county commissioners are very concerned because I want to say they were talking like, you know, losing $19 million for county, you know, so this is a big thing. This goes beyond us. This goes beyond, you know, running counties. This goes safety forces. This goes health departments. This goes to your social services, to your schools, to your, so there's a lot of people chirping. So maybe another positive, we've got more people that are chirping that this isn't. I know I don't know that I've ever seen such indecisiveness. I don't,
It's just so frustrating because they're not presenting their other side of it. They're just saying what they're taking away, but they're not saying what they're replacing it with or how.
Right.
I mean, these things have to be paid for.
Right.
It's just insane.
responsibility for a solution.
No,
Yeah.
I think a lot of this came out, the big motive that came out of this was, you know, the state just had property taxes reevaluated. And we all know that property taxes, there was a significant jump in property values.
Yep.
And so that has certainly caused a lot of people some angst and a driving force behind this. And I've heard, you know, sales tax and, you know, the idea that if you have increased sales tax, then it's not just the property people that own property that are for it, that anybody that comes through the county that buys is contributing to that, which, you know, there's arguments for that. Sure, that's true, but you know, we live here, so.
Yeah,
Right.
this isn't
So, you know,
Disney World,
You
in
know.
Orlando.
Right, yeah.
What are they gonna raise the sales tax to make this 10%? I mean,
ridiculous.
You don't know.
yeah.
And, you know, and each county, you know, has a different sales tax.
Yeah.
You know, for instance, I know that in Coweta County, sales tax is 8%. So what are you gonna do? Tack on 3, 4, 5 more percent? So now you're,
Then you're really going low too, because
Yeah.
everyone is gonna pay that, whatever that new sales tax is, whether you can afford a
Yeah.
home or not. If you're not a homeowner,
yeah,
you're still gonna now
Yeah.
definitely you're part of it, and maybe that's the place or
But
something.
that's a whole nother process, though. If they do go with the sales tax, they have to then, you have to then
And
bring
it
it to
doesn't
the
happen
people
overnight.
to
yeah.
vote. Yeah, so I haven't heard anything as of today about which way things are going, but the other piece that we have to be concerned with, that there's some language in there that, as you recall, we have that reserve balance, that 40% of our previous year's expenditures, you know, Carrie points out that by law, the Budget Commission is not supposed to take that into an account as part of your carryover. By law. I mean, they see it. So, but you know, here's another thing that may may slow things down, is that this is now saying that they don't have to look at that anymore. So you've got state law that requires it, but now you're saying in another piece of legislation that it doesn't. So I've got to think that there's then going to be some, you know, I'm just speculating, there's gonna have to be some reconciliation, because which law do you fall?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wish I had better.
It's hard to have it's sort of hard to have a sensible solution-oriented conversation when these circumstances don't even make any sense. I mean,
Right.
it really is just.
I know,
I mean, so people are asking, what,
Yeah, right.
where's it gonna come from? And there's
Right.
really no
there's no answer.
alternatives proposed.
Yeah. And then, of course, at the federal level, we have some uncertainty there too, with what are they gonna do with, you know, the Medicaid piece. And I do know in our state bill, that group of the Medicare expansion, you know, folks between 18 to 65 that financially aren't able to afford healthcare, that you could, you know, get assistance to get healthcare. The state, when we expanded it with DeWine, he said that we would take it as long as the federal government was paying 90% of that cost. So the federal government, like for our waivers, federal government pays 60%, we pay 40%. With that expansion, the federal government's paying 90% and the state's paying 10%. And if that goes away, the current law says the program's gone. People are just, I do know that they did put some wording in the current budget that they want to find a way to kind of titrate off of that. How that looks, I don't know. That, you know, kind of what you're hearing is that seems to be the group that's probably going to get hit first and hardest. But that there again, then a lot of the folks that provide services are, you know, in that lower income that rely on having that supplemental healthcare. So there's a lot of moving pieces. We just don't. At least we'll know the state, though. The state will have come to a decision, and then there'll be the fallout, the aftermath of, you know, how do we manage that and work within our system. So I don't have any real great news or hard, like vast answers.
I'm trying to find that positive nugget in what you just said.
We're gonna know soon.
We're gonna know.
We're gonna know soon.
Yeah.
That's the
And the month, right?
The positive in it is, you know, first of all, the stuff we do is really good stuff. And I think one of the things that we have to frame it and highlight, I don't say frame it, but highlight, is that really these funds, these Medicaid dollars, you know, they're not county board dollars, they're the people that receive services dollars. It's their funds that people are talking about. You know, we tend to talk about, well, you know, the county board, and if we lose funds, well, I think we have to kind of reframe how we say that, because the reality is that it's the people receiving services. Those are their funds.
Gotta get that message out, because
They're
if
earmarked
the
already.
people out there say, well, the county's too fat, let's eliminate the, you know. These,
But it's not-
it's not the county, it's our provider, or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ones we're providing for. We just gotta make sure that message is out there, that chop all you want, but you know, we're a small cog in the wheel.
right. So, I mean, I think those are things for us to think about as we keep moving forward and how we're gonna handle it and face these challenges. And I mean, I think that we do offer, our school system, our school or community school is huge, and again, that is not a mandated service. I mean, the board is committed to that because we know the value and the impact that has on our community. So I think, those are things, our early intervention, while we provide, the, therapists that go out and do that, we're technically not mandated to employ those therapists. But again, those programs have huge impacts. The funding for services, I mean, all of you know, with the exception of two of you, really, all of you know the impact that has on not only your son or daughter's life, but the rest of your family and the community's life to have those services. So I think, we have a lot of good stuff to make sure
We just need to carry the fight because we understand that.
Right.
We have legislators that are making the decision that, quite honestly, not figuring out what they're trying to do. I don't think they understand. Or they're just, I don't think they understand.
That's a nice way to say it.
There's definitely. I mean, it's just, everything's so connected and, sometimes the squeaky wheels get more attention and they forget about the rest of the car.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
and often I think it's sort of like deal with what's in front of you today and very little thought towards, next week and next month and
Right.
next year. And I think
Right.
that's what's driving a lot of the decisions is,
Yep.
make a decision today and then we'll figure it out tomorrow and, oh, oops, now we just decided or, it's just.
Short-sighted view.
Just, I guess, my preference is be proactive rather than reactive the
Right.
best we can.
Right.
Well, and it sounds like we are from the conversation that you're having or ATV is having,
Right.
I think we're doing,
I think
we're doing all of it.
what we can. And, the other thing I would say is, Medina County, we are very fortunate, the taxpayers support these programs. The taxpayers do individually, that they see the value. If you think about our last levy, we had taxpayers, close to 70% said, yeah, we want to continue funding this. So, and we are we're very solid financially. There are some counties that have not been able to pass levies and, are on the brink of, needing funds from the state or additional funds. So, I mean, I think we're in a good spot to fight this.
But the general demeanor of everybody nowadays in government is bitter.
Well,
So I mean, we've been really fortunate to have all the support.
we really have.
And, and I wouldn't want to sell that short, but there's attitudes out there now that's just
Yeah.
in general that are
Yeah.
negative.
Well, and that's one of the first things I do. Patty has me on the council tour that we do every year. And, that's the first thing I do is I thank the council and the community because they tell me, without you, you value and you support it. That allows so many good things to be occurring for people with developmental disabilities in our community, our people, our citizens. So, we'll figure it out one way or the other. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll be Thursdays
Yeah.
before we know it.
Right.
Hey,
But I think you're right though, Dave. I mean, I think it's important to know because, regardless, we're due to go to the budget commission. I mean, we know it's been coming. So that'll be another piece that when we know that obviously it's gonna be important to have the board there and supportive and, talk.
Is there a date for the commission, Karen?
The budget commission? No,
Date?
no, they don't. They meet monthly? Yes. So they do have a budget commission meeting monthly to review things, and in the law, the rule, they have to do it's like 30 days, like they have to put 2 public notices out, so it's formal notifications, so they can't just, on a Friday afternoon, meet and do it, they have to put the information, there has to be a formal
And this is
hearing.
the county level budget?
Yes, the county level budget commission.
Gotcha.
Is
Each
that
county.
composition changing?
Hey, you know,
What's
it-
proposed?
is it back to
I
process?
thought it was back to prosecutor, the last
It is.
time it's back to prosecutor.
Cause it balanced, so it's the auditor, it's the treasurer, and it's the prosecutor. Make up that. I know they bounce back and forth about putting the president of the commissioners on there, but. I think it is too, but I'd have to look. Well, we'll find out. We'll have to look at whatever the final budget.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Good, thank you.
All right, moving on, new business.
All right. Okay, so we got some resolutions here, so. I got the right one for you. Okay, the administration respectfully requests board approval for resolution 1625, the appropriation increase for various accounts. This is an increase to the 2025 budget. The appropriations changed by fund is the 2855, the capital improvements. And that's going from $2,183,357 to $2,232,931. And our general fund, the 330 general fund, that's going from $37,110,802 to $37,319,320.
Yeah, that's.
$22 and
The
seven
numbers there.
cents. And this is, and if you need more explanation, it's really, the POs from 24 that were encumbered and carried over for the bills to be paid over. Inadvertently, the, auditor's office closed those. So we're still finishing that up, so we're just accounting for it.
Do I have a motion to approve? Mark, and do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, Lisa. Okay, a motion and a second. Now we could open the motion for discussion. Is there any discussion, questions?
Gary, does this require you to adjust 2024 now?
No, what it means is that I have 24 expenses that I may still pay in 25, that they added it to the 25 appropriation budget.
That's what you're doing
numbers.
here.
Yes, that's what this is, because of the way of what happened within the computer system when they erroneously closed our 24 POs.
Okay,
So it's just adjusting, and they had to open it under 25 in order for us to pay what we needed the 24 POs for.
This ever happened before? Seems like it
Nope.
hasn't.
It is not.
Hey,
It was not, it was a clerical mistake,
Okay.
and then like, they thought when they closed it, like, we gave a list every year, like, we need these open.
Yeah.
And someone closed it, and then they thought they could just reopen them. Well, when they reopened it, it kind of compounded the issue because of the accounting transaction that happens behind the scenes. And so we had found in notes, we're like, hey, this isn't, wasn't
Yeah.
adding up when we, balance every month. And so that's why they contacted the software company and said, how do we fix this problem? They said, well, the best way to do it is to do it this way. So I just know I have to bring to you, the board members, any appropriation changes that happen with our budget. So that's why I'm bringing forth the resolution. It has already gone through the commissioners process. Typically, it's you guys first and then the commissioners, but the way we had to process it, this is how it came to be.
Any other questions? Nothing else? We'll do a roll call vote. Lisa,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
and Adina.
Yeah.
Okay, and the chair votes yes, so moved. Next one, next is
Okay.
property.
Administration respectfully requests board approval for resolution 1725, excess property. MCBDD maintenance and or IT departments have inspected, evaluated these items and determined that the items are unneeded. The property will be sold through auction or other means as specified by the Ohio Revised Code. And we got a short list this time.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay, any further discussion on this? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote again. Adina,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
David,
Yes,
Mark,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes.
Okay.
So moved.
The next resolution, administration respectfully requests board approval for resolution 1825 legacy roofing services gutter replacement proposal. This authorizes the superintendent to accept the scope of work for the proposal with legacy roofing services for the following service: the removal and replace gutters back of the building and half of the courtyard and towers, remove and replace downspouts in the same areas. The cost shall not exceed $72,375.
Need a motion and a second. Do I have a motion?
so moved.
David, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Who was that? Okay, motion and second discussion. Any questions?
Have we worked with legacy?
Yeah, have we used them before? Thank you.
Yes, yeah, we have done really great work. I reached out to a couple other companies, but they did the best proposal. In the previous time I worked with them, they did really good warranty work right away. So it's just nice.
Yep.
Bobby, now that you're collecting all this water and getting it down underground, our drainage is sufficient to get it away from?
I believe it is, yes.
Okay.
Except for when there's a bunch of cars parked in the back.
I'll tell you, the fire truck may drive over some of those lines.
That's right.
Make sure they're deep enough.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll start with Adina. Debbie,
Yes.
Kelly, David,
Yes,
Mark,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes, so moved. Okay, next policy review.
Yes, we have some policy, some updates in chapter 2, the board, and chapter 3 in the administration. And the updates, they were outlined for you and actually in red in the policies. So, yep. Questions about those?
We need a motion.
We need a motion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Need a motion to approve. Everybody review the,
Didn't you need a motion?
okay, Lisa made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Kelly? Okay, motion and a second. Questions, comments?
Is this similar to in the past where it is aligning with like state requirements or something? I feel like the last time we reviewed
Yeah,
this, it was.
for the most part, the first one with the open forum, yeah, it is aligning, talking with, Andy and looking at, and Shannon and looking at how we do our open forum, we just kind of made for clarification.
Okay.
I think it's more clarification. Got it. And then the other is, yeah, some language change based on rules and regs.
well, sticking with open forum.
Yeah.
We're discouraging people
Yes.
to be in open forum, if you will. I thought, if someone were to ask a question to the board that hadn't, I've got a complaint against John Krebs.
Yeah.
The first thing the board would say, well, have you discussed this with the superintendent? If he or she hadn't, then I think it's a dead issue for the board in the past, because we have a process. The process says, there's where you have to go, see the superintendent for the process. But until the superintendent doesn't give you what you want with good reason, then the board may take it under advisement.
And that's still that is not open forum. That would still be part of our
Well, it's
process.
a complaint.
But that would not be open forum. You're right, that's our due process that they could go through and meet with you and
Yeah.
have their,
But the open forum, someone comes up and says, look, I have a problem with so-and-so.
right,
And so Andy or the board chair, the board chair would say, well, have you explained this and gone through the process we have before you bring it to the board? And if they hadn't, then really the board would say, we're interested. But first of all, the superintendent's got to evaluate it and its merits and all this and all that. Then you can come to the board. That's the process. And then I guess there's even things beyond that, but that's beyond. So why are we saying no person may present at the meeting a complaint against an individual board employee or any program decisions? I thought that's what we want people to come and talk to us, so we're open. And I'm looking at paragraph.
Well, I think, I hear what you're saying. I think we want them to come, but the open forum,
Is to get people to express whatever they think.
but if you have a complaint or process, we want you to go through it.
And then we tell them,
Like in an open forum, we're not going to, they have their time. We are not going to start
Debate.
engaging in
yeah,
that. So,
that's right, that's right,
so really open forums just for them to speak whatever they want to speak.
right. And now we're saying they can't do that.
Well, we don't want them coming up. I mean, we want people to use the process of, if you have a very specific complaint with a staff, a program, we have a very specific process. Coming to open forum isn't gonna solve the problem.
But at least it gets it to a level that someone's saying something.
Usually we already know about it. But
Oh,
I'll be honest with
I
you.
agree.
When somebody's coming up here, we have a sense of what's been going on.
You used to have two ladies that were always keep us in.
Yeah.
I can remember those ladies.
And you know as well as I do that, you know, there are a lot of times that you can go through the process and people are still.
Oh,
Gonna
absolutely.
make people, yeah.
You're just never gonna,
Yeah.
just not, it reads as if, don't bring any complaints, don't, about any people.
What
And that-
line, where are you?
Third paragraph down, open forum. Basically, the whole paragraph.
Paragraph inserted, it shall be in.
Chapter 2,
Yeah.
board meetings, open forum. We say that the board endorses principles of communication to public and free communications. That's the first paragraph. Third paragraph is no person shall present at a meeting of the board a complaint against any individual. And all right, that's touchy. We don't want this to be a personal thing. Or any program decisions. Well, okay, we're working on programs. So if you have a comment on it, one way or another, it seems to me we want to hear that. And then somewhere along in here,
So you're talking about not a portion that has been changed, because that's
The next page.
The portions in red.
Oh, the second page,
Keep going.
I'm missing it.
The
Her,
board does not obligate.
Stacy's paragraph 4 on the first version or paragraph 3 on the second version. Because it was three
okay, all right, yeah.
it shall be in order for members of
But
the
that's
board.
old language.
Yeah,
That's old language.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
always
I'm
been
looking,
there.
I'm looking
Yeah.
at the red line version, and what you're referring to is not a change.
No.
Right,
It's always been like that.
Yeah.
You're right. I guess I did, now that I'm reading in specific, I'm saying, oh, heck did we change that?
Some previous board must have done.
Must have been when I was out.
So, Mr. President, if I could just jump in real quick. So I'm new to this, so I was reading the red, focused on the red, but as I read the whole thing, I do believe that this shuts down conversation, does not encourage people to come before us and share positives or negatives. So when I look at this, I'm not really embracing. It just feels like we are discouraging people to come before us and have an open discussion. I think sometimes we inherently think that if because somebody comes before us, it's a negative. Maybe that's what the history has been. But I would love to see more people come to these meetings and share what's working and what we could focus on to be better.
We're spending a lot of time,
I
and
don't
we've
see
got,
anything here that discourages that.
The board does not obligate itself to consider any questions, requests, or proposals during open forum session.
I guess I read that to mean make a decision on, like we would hear it, maybe I'm
No, we wouldn't
misunderstanding.
hear
We're not even gonna hear it.
we're not
It
even
does not
gonna hear it.
obligate itself to consider.
But I agree with Stacy, we have agreed in the past, we're not gonna debate it. They're gonna come forth with yeas or nays, or we agree or disagree. But we're here to hear it, note it, and if it merits discussion, then we'll covered at a later date somehow, but not,
Correct,
not
which
getting
is what I
those today.
think that says, right?
The open forum is
Consider-
made to allow the public comment, not to have the public come and force us into a decision in, and that is what that last sentence is for, is stating, is we're not here to make a decision to an open forum comment, question, or concern. And that's appropriate because we don't give ourselves that.
And I agree totally.
Agreed.
But the very first four words, no person may present,
At any board meeting, any complaint against an individual
no
employee.
person may present,
Well, but
not asking for a decision.
a complaint against, you can't present a complaint.
Don't put the personal complaint to a board member in front of the board.
Well, but you inserted personal. It
That's
doesn't
what
say
the-
that, it says no
Board
complaint.
employee or any program decision.
But then it says, but we have a process to handle that. Which is much more productive, quite frankly. If you have a complaint, then we have it, like you said, Dave, we have that process of hearing and
Yeah, we have a
and
process.
investigating and then we can make decisions.
I just couldn't get by, no person may present.
But
That's
not-
all I,
it's
that's
not a
that's all I can.
standalone phrase.
But that's not a standalone phrase. Right?
It's just saying they can't present a complaint against an individual board employee or any program decision. That's what they can't present.
All right.
They can't present a complaint against any individual board
All right.
employee.
At open
Don't
forum.
get personal, eliminate the individual employee, scratch that. No person may present at any board meeting, any program decision, discuss or complain against the program decision. It's not personal, it's a program decision. We've got a program out there that someone doesn't like. I don't know, I'm sure we have those. But we're not giving them any option to talk to the board about disliking the program.
The next line does say, any charge or complaint shall be presented
To the
to the
superintendent, right?
superintendent, right?
So,
Yes, you can, but I hear what you're saying.
Well, I feel like that sentence needs to be elaborated on then, because if it says the first thing you need to do is make a formal complaint to the superintendent in writing. But what about when that's not getting the issue resolved? Then what does the person have available to them? Then are they allowed to come to open forum and talk about it?
If they present, there, we have like a little specific due process and there's, time and a time frame on that. And part of that is if it gets to me and say they disagree with my decision, their next process is to bring it to the board and then that goes directly to you as a
In
board.
open forum or in,
No,
not in open?
no, it's not an
Okay, so the open forum is the issue.
open forum. Yeah, open forum is, at the end of the meeting, people can speak. Yeah.
So there would be like a special board meeting called for that person?
There, a hearing. Yeah. A hearing.
Okay.
And then the board decides on how they want to handle that hearing
Mhm.
and the process with that.
So how is the person made aware that that's open to them? That's a possibility if they should, disagree with what you say or something
Good.
like that.
Just out of language, could the second sentence be the first sentence? Then the first sentence be the second sentence with, complaint, no, charge or complaint. So no person may present at any board meeting. This is the second sentence. A charge or complaint against an individual board employee or program decision. Would that clarify it? Because the first process is what we already have stated in chapter 11, section 3K. Lead them into that first.
Maybe I don't have I agree that I wouldn't necessarily want somebody to come and, have a complaint against a person. I do not have a problem with somebody coming and sharing concerns over our program.
Right, and that's a corollary to a charge or complaint in general, which it would be the second sentence first. And then the corollary to that is don't bring any charge or complaint relative to an individual or a board decision to an open forum. You could follow the first process, which is already stated, provide that to the superintendent.
Yeah,
How would the public know about this, everything? here?
Like the due process
How
stuff?
would yeah, like, how would they know that, for example, the board does not obligate itself to formally consider any questions, requests, proposals unless submitted to the president in writing 10 days prior to the meeting? How would our public, our stakeholders, taxpayers, how would they know that?
Well, they obviously have access to this if they want to do the research and they want to do that, which we know in this world, a lot of people which does not excuse them and does not give you a right to, I mean, it doesn't, because you don't do your due diligence, doesn't mean that we have to jump through hoops. But what I will say kind of to you too, is like, so if, let's say you get a complaint. Somebody is not happy with one of our staff. They have a process, so, they can go to the manager, the director, sometimes they can come to me. And at that point, when they verbalize that to us, we are then saying, hey, here's the process, and we will talk them through that. Same thing with a programming process, that if something is discontinued or a service is denied, they are given that due process so that they know what the steps are, how that rolls out. So when it's brought to our attention, we are then giving it to people and saying, here's how we resolve this. Here are your options. Here's how it works.
Right, because feedback's not always negative. Hey, you
Right.
got this program, my kid loved it. I just
Right.
want to let you know. It's not always negative.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Well, and we would shut it down if someone were to slip in and say
And
that.
that's
We have a process.
right.
Right.
We have exactly, but somebody that comes in without that prior knowledge, that is fired up for one reason or another, comes to us and we provide that. To prevent an accusation of we cut them off, we provide at least the legitimate in this document, the reason why, that there is a process that they should follow. So it's more of a protection of us against these situations that may never arise, but if they do, at least we have the backup and the support.
Yeah, we really,
I don't know that we've ever
I don't-
cut
I don't know.
anybody off.
No,
I don't think, not that I know.
Yeah.
no. But again,
Some people say some things that, that
Right.
had some very strong opinions
We're
and,
thick skinned.
Right.
We can handle it.
right.
So the bigger issue is that this document that we're looking at is specifically for open forums.
Specifically for
People
open
that have a
forum.
problem, do have access to the
Yeah.
board as long as they go
Yeah.
through the proper.
Yeah. And they can say what they want to say and present what they want to present. And
so where do we sit with this?
can I add one other thing to this?
Sure.
I think one of the other things that's important to remember is, and it's easy to get away from us, is privacy issues. We've had this many times where things would go, and then they will start discussing very personal issues that, while they may be okay doing that, unless it just really isn't appropriate to talk about very specific personal things in an open forum. So I think that also gives the president a tool to say, hey,
Trunk it.
we're gonna stop here
Well,
and it doesn't mean that we're not gonna address it afterward, but I think what it means is like,
And to some extent, that's protecting the rights of the individual as well.
well, exactly,
We are trying to protect their privacy, even if they're not. We had an individual within my limited board service that came and spoke before the board that I think shared some personal information that I'm not sure would have been
good to have on public record.
precisely,
Right.
precisely.
Yeah.
I think we need to protect some individual who may want to speak on the board.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think that there were some suggestions that were recommended to tweak a few words and change a few paragraphs. So do we postpone this until next month? So we can have that in front of us, or?
Can
what
we
do you
table
think?
this?
can we look at that?
Is that okay?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we'll table this section. Let's look at the other sections.
Is there something specific that I'm actually, personally, I am okay with this. Do we want to identify or have someone documented what it is that needs to change for us to be in agreement with it, or do we want to just revisit it?
Well, I'd just like it to be looked at again, from my standpoint, that one paragraph, see if there's a better language, And maybe like Andy said, you get one paragraph before the other, just, so it doesn't come across as,
And
just soften it a little
So
bit.
not even the changes that are being suggested, but actually some of the other areas that haven't been modified.
Yeah, yeah. One other question I have, community employment. Have we talked about that before, that we're getting out of that business?
We've been at, yeah. Because we can't provide direct services. We are prohibited by, Medicaid from being the funder and the provider, so we,
But haven't haven't Ed and John been trying to find work for people and then turn it over to the providers? Don't we try?
that's different, we're not,
Yeah.
that's different, yes, that's like our business advisory and the
The
economic
aggregator.
law, and so we're doing that stuff, we're just not working with the individual.
Not
We're
the
doing the support with the employers and providers, yes.
Okay.
All right. This change requires a vote. So let's table the open forum section. Section
Chapter 2, I think it is.
Chapter 2,
2,
board meeting,
yes,
Yep,
E, form.
and section 13 with the edits presented. Do I have a motion to accept those edits?
So moved.
Okay, Mark, and do I have a second?
second.
Lisa? Okay, any further questions, comments?
Stacia, just confirmation, no other community boards are doing this as well. Everybody's getting out of.
Direct service.
For year, right,
We
okay,
cannot do direct, yeah.
okay, yeah.
Okay, it's understood why.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, motion and a second, let's do a roll call vote. Lisa,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
David,
Yes,
Kelly,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
and Adina.
Mhm.
And the chair votes yes, so moved. All right. I think we're up to superintendent report.
Yeah, so you've got a lot of good information there. Just a couple things I'll point out because I think they're pretty valuable. Our SSA department met with Donna Patterson from the State Department about training nursing services with, the waiver and state planning. So that actually came out, did a very informative session to help out the SSAs, understanding that. Lots and lots of community engagement. Thursday's the ice cream social.
Absolutely.
Looking for that, we had our graduation, since the last we spoke.
we have a rain date, do we have a heat date?
Well, if it's too hot, we will pivot. We will pivot and do it here. And we will, I think last year we did it on a Wednesday. No, Tuesday.
It did the same day as here.
Same day.
Yeah.
No, I mean, made a decision.
Oh, we did it on the Tuesday.
We did it on the Tuesday. Yeah. We didn't cheat, we just played. So we'll keep watching, and if we need to pivot and do it, we will. And it worked out fine last year.
Yeah, it did, really did.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that. You've got a list of all of our trainings. We had quite a few trainings in May and June. In participation, we've got some upcoming. We've got our guardianship is coming up, or actually it happened already because it's the 23rd. So that was done and it was really well attended, I guess. Or provider practice. You heard about our advocacy. One of the things I didn't get a chance to say is that the presentation, the stuff that John and Molly, this past winter, both Molly and Nicole Riker that do the leadership program, the advocacy leadership program. I know we talked about it, but I just want to remind you, gave a great presentation at the state conference and had a lot of really positive feedback from our peers, and they've just done a tremendous job. And Molly has taken some of these programs and really done a nice job of reevaluating and shaping them up and it's the word I want. It's become more effective and more were meaningful. So I do want to point that out. And, just trying to do some creative stuff.
Well, I like to compliment people together. I mean, going to
Yeah,
Dana and you and Logan and all the others.
Yeah.
That's great work. If we can,
Yeah.
get them turned early, that in fact, they're not bullying, address the bullying and all that, that's.
it's a great
Seeing all
program.
those students be exposed, that's
Yeah.
just terrific. That's terrific.
And that's something we partner with society. Society employs that teacher and we provide funding for that. So, yeah, you're right, Dave. You get people young and really
Understand.
understanding that we're all the same, we're all people, we're all the same. So,
This is like, there's a lot of developmental differences. So are we called Medina County Board of Developmental Differences?
we're still developmental disabilities, but you're right, there is a lot of,
Yeah, I see
the
that.
language is starting to change and,
Okay.
yeah, but officially that has not changed yet.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like disability is not a bad word. Like, when I say I'm disabled or I'm disabled, that's not something to be ashamed about. Like,
No.
it's just part of who I am or what I have, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, yeah. Provider spotlight, our DSP, I always like to point that out, is Beth Allen. For June, she's an independent provider. She was nominated by one of our SSAs, Michael Gear. He shared that Beth has a deep understanding of the unique needs of needs of those with disabilities. Beth goes above and beyond to create safe, nurturing environment, whether it's assisting with daily activities, providing emotional support, or advocating for individuals' rights. Beth constantly demonstrates kindness and professionalism in every interaction. When we asked Beth, how did she start in the field? She said, under unfortunate circumstances, I was able to welcome my nephew into our home 6 years ago. Through working and learning with Miles, I was introduced to independent providing. So turned, something really positive. Bleachers are in. I wanted to point that out. We just got new bleachers, so they're electric. So it's gonna be a lot, it's just. And they did a nice, they do it 2 days?
It was about 3 days.
About 3 days, so it's off by day, but yeah, they did a good job.
It also has the cutout for wheelchairs.
Yeah,
Great.
so, yeah. Special Olympics. As always, we just have a great Special Olympics program here, a lot of participation. So, questions about any of that stuff?
Stacy, on the camp, I know Patty's here as well. We're just consulting on that camp that's taking place at the rec.
And yes,
Right?
yes,
Okay.
we're helping this year. We actually have, we did some training ahead of time with staff to talk about, ideas on philosophies and techniques and programming that. And, we do have a staff that's there this year, just this year, that's kind of our staff that's advising and trying to stay out and not take over and do it, but just support that staff doing it so
Is
that,
this the rec summer program?
yeah,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah. So
The first year they've done.
first year,
Yeah, that's great.
it is. So the idea is help them and then next year
Maybe they'll do it and become
we're out. Yeah.
Right.
And there's 12.
12 kids, and I think it's $300 maybe.
I'm not sure what
I
that,
think it was like $300.
yeah.
When I saw it.
My son Cameron is doing that.
Yeah.
In July, he's doing 3
good.
weeks there, so I'm gonna ask him.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, once again,
It's grassroots, it's
Get
helping
into
them
the
understand how to offer a program and service, so. Yeah, it caught my eye, I thought it was great.
That's
Yeah.
very cool. I didn't hear about that.
yeah.
I wanted to give kudos to Ed because I went to Project 16, which is a new dance studio here in Medina,
Mhm.
and they contacted us. And Carol is the woman's name who opened the studio with her daughter, and they're going to be providing us classes for kids with developmental disabilities. And she was very happy with the way that Ed helped her figure out, the best way to promote the program and do the program and provide the program. So I just wanted to say that was great to know, like, I know Ed and I.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great. Good, thank you.
And Ellie's going to do the program too, so I'll let you know how it goes.
Good.
Anything else? Superintendent's report. Okay. Very financials, please.
All right, we'll get through this pretty quick. For revenue received for May, we're at 53% of, the budgeted revenue. We did receive the first half payment for the rollback homestead money that comes from the state at $1.1 million. And we had a donation, it was $2.40 for the box top for education, so that goes to the mental school. Yes, I know, but we have to report on the donations received, so just wanted to review that. Other than that, I don't, at this time, I don't have any questions or concerns with, revenue. Any questions specific to revenue? Okay, expenditures, we're at 38% spent. I just wanted to make a note that under the budget changes column, I made the adjustments for the resolution that you approved earlier today due to the PO issue at the auditor. So those adjustments are listed on the budget changes, and I made a footnote to it as well so that it's on here so we know the amounts that were affected by each fund. In May, there were 3 pay periods, so our salaries and benefits will look a little bit higher compared to the previous months due to that. Operating travel was about almost $4,700 and a little over $900 for training expenses. We did have the fiscal year 23 countywide audit fee, about $6,300. We do have to pay our share of the countywide audit every year. Let's see. The equipment was mainly for the budgeted computer replacement cycle. It was about 35 laptops that were due for replacement this year. So we got that started in the IT department and rolling those out. Capital projects, we had a heat pump replacements and the down payment for the audio board and wireless mic rack system replacement for the board meetings. And Medicaid match, it was for the 5 individuals at the developmental center. Any questions on expenditures?
Gary, special projects included the home that passed through.
The year to date,
Yeah,
yes, that's why it's so high is because of the timing of the state funded pass through for that housing project. Yeah, the revenue was off for that as well,
Yep.
as well as the year to date comparisons. Yes,
Okay.
that's what it was for. Thank you for remembering that. Okay, any other questions on expenditures? Cash balance for the month of May is 41.9 million. You can see, as Stacy mentioned earlier, I break out the reserve accounts on the cash balance report. And then for the monthly cash flow, we used $186,000 of the fund balance. And then any questions on the voucher report?
Yes,
Questions, David?
you had, you just get to it.
You're working one?
Vehicle, refresh vehicle rental. What's that?
That's Momentum, the adaptable contract we have with Momentum Refresh for the
Yes.
universal changing table that goes to the different events.
Yep. Okay.
Any other questions? David, you're scrolling.
Yeah. What I do is just put check marks off to the side and ask some of them and don't ask others.
Hearing none, I need a resolution or a motion and a second to approve the financials. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Kelly, do I have a second?
Second.
Debbie? Okay, a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Start with Lisa.
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, Debbie? I got a yes from Kelly.
Debbie?
Yes, I said yes.
I couldn't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, need a verbal. And Adina,
It wasn't.
thank you. So moved. All right, moving on.
Okay, the other, reports, you've got our board statistics. Nothing of significance to, there. We do have our annual bullying incident report that we're required to, report. No incidents are reported, and then you have our, update on our action plan, focus area 2, our well-being. And give you an update at where we are with those initiatives. Any questions?
Stacy, when we,
Yeah.
possibly link resources with an external agency, how do we run quality control on that those are good links and links that we want to be associated with? That's the top,
Which one?
1A, the last sentence.
We'll certainly be vetting them. And to see if there's a commonality of, like, is there a interactive relationship commonality? Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, I guess, all I was worried about is quality control, if we could buy into what some other agency does.
Oh, yeah, no,
Maybe they do it, maybe they don't
right,
go with our policy.
no.
So yeah, that's all I was concerned with.
Any other questions? Hearing none, it's time for our open forum. The board maintains discretion to hold an open forum. The board may not elect to address public comments during the open forum. However, the board shall provide acknowledgement and a response will be provided within a reasonable time frame. 5 minutes are allowed per speaker, 45 minutes total, which is a total of 9 speakers. Is there anyone wishing to provide information, comments in an open forum? Hearing none. Okay, there will be an executive session after this general meeting, our regular board meeting. It will be for personnel issues, and it is review the 2024 superintendent evaluation. With that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Just one other thing.
You have to, a motion.
When we executive session, is there gonna be any action taken from the executive session?
There will be no action taken from exec. And with that, I will not adjourn the regular meeting. Thank you. And we will move into then executive session. Do we need to have a few minute recess for anybody?
Actually, I need a few minutes to take care of the food.
Okay,
We could have like a,
5 okay for you?
I can move quickly.
You need help.
I'm gonna go get some food.
I can do it in 5,
Okay, we'll give it 10 or until Shannon comes back.
but I need a motion in a second.
We need a motion to move into the executive. Second, motion by Martin. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, David, okay, all in favor?
In favor.
Okay, any opposed? None, so moved.
6:41.
Thank you.
Okay.
Diane, stay.
I actually have some.